India lies in a tumultuous and turbulent neighborhood, as the topic of our panel discussion suggests. Neighborhood has witnessed political instability. It has got pendulum shifts in political ideologies, frequent natural disasters. We have increased narcotics smuggling, human rights migration, and increased economic vulnerability of our populace. This makes it a very turbulent neighborhood. In almost all countries, as brought out by General Shravan Kumar, except barring Bhutan, there is turmoil. There is turmoil not only in our bilateral relations, but there are internal turmoils in this country. And before we start and look at our neighborhood, I would like to just make a small statement about the intricacies of the world order and the neighborhood. This actually revolves around complexities and threats. And these contradictions and fissures and gaps that we have within our relationships, this is being, all our neighbors are trying to exploit it in their favor. We have to keep it, we have to understand this whenever we are dealing with our neighborhood. If you look at China, and you look at your north and northwest, we have an element of China and Pakistan collusivity also. The relationship is more of China and less of Pakistan. It is not the other way around. And China is rightly defined as our primary threat. The impact of China is felt all around the world, but it is most felt by India. The reason is due to our unsettled boundary which we have. And mind you, China has not settled its boundary with India. It has settled its boundary with almost all its land neighbors. It has settled its maritime boundaries with all of them. With India, it continues to have not settled the land boundary. There are reasons behind that. China has always aspired, it was a regional power, and today it's an aspirational world power. The impact on India is profound due to its boundary dispute, and for many decades, if you have actually look around, China has been encircling India, and not by that, there is a theory of pearls, pearls theory, which string of pearls that he has done. Look at what your neighbors are buying. They are buying weapons and equipment from China other than all economic dependencies. These are matters of concern. Therefore, while the primary threat from China remains on our borders, however, it's a matter of time before the Chinese threats also come out in the oceans. The future threats lie in the oceans. Look at its largest, fastest modernization drive any time in the world history. China is going through, and the pace at which it is building ships, it has outpaced even USA. So we need to understand that. But here lies the catch that India also has got a big advantage because of its peninsula and its island territories that we have, and therefore we become sometime like an unsinkable aircraft carrier. The challenges posed by India therefore include economic, military, technological. It is today leading in 41 of the 57 major emerging technologies in the world. It has beaten US to that. So we have to keep a mind of that. It's a conundrum, it's a strong adversary. The border topography is disadvantageous to us and advantageous to him. There are numerous security filters which the China has put in place. So its economic heft and its military might today have empowered it to disregard all the essential rule-based order that was there. Today, it is trying to set up a new world order, which is an image of its internal systems that it has. The belligerence in South and East China Sea, as well as with the land borders with Bhutan and us, is for us to be worried about. There is a silver lining only that post Galwan and after the 5 years that we went through, there has been proactive military and political engagements. There has been a whole of nation approach by which we dealt with China during this crisis. And today, the friction areas which were there in 2020 in the Depsang Plains or Demchok, they have been resolved on the principles of equal and mutual security. This is one of the guiding principles by which we deal with them on the borders and in the confidence building measures. So this is how we have dealt with them. This agreement has now facilitated the resumption of coordinated patrolling, allowing both sides to underscore their territorial claims and while adhering to agreed terms. However, this trust deficit that we have with China cannot be forgotten. The past conflicts cannot be overlooked, and both countries, while will work diligently to improve their relations, however, the element of Chinese threat will always loom large on all our relationships. This being China, Pakistan, it has got essential ambiguities. The most popular leader of their country is behind bars. The country is run by the army. It is grappling with this poly-crisis situation, faces economic and security challenges. There is a cognitive dissonance among the Pakistan elites, a clash between reality of fragile economy and infrastructure and the pride of being a nuclear power nation. These are at conflict with each other. The development of situation on the Afghan border has reached a point of almost no return for them. Pakistan-Afghan issue has become like a two-front war for them. There has been 521 attacks on by Islamic armed groups and Balochi and Sindhi nationalist insurgents in 2024. It's a 70% increase on the kind of attacks that are taking place on them. You know, when I was preparing my script and before Pulwama happened, I had written, post-Uri and Pulwama, there have been no terror attacks on Indian soil and maybe due to the fear of retaliation. This also is not true. The Pulwamas, the Pahalgam attacks, no matter what you may find discourse in social media stating, anybody who has operated in J&K will vouch for it that such a attack is always handled by Pakistan handlers. We cannot forget this. This is this country which uses this kind of warfare to just get even with us. So this is the kind of turbulent neighborhood we live in. There is also an attempt for infiltration of terrorist groups. Every time peacetime comes in, they try to push in their armed groups. They come up with new systems to deal with it. And every time the foreign terrorists come in, cause mayhem, fall back, die, all that stuff is happening. And this factory just doesn't end. Their launch pads continue to be intact. Whenever a pressure from India comes in, they only relocate this launch pads. Pressure goes in, ceasefire works. We think Pakistan is now preoccupied by the Balochistan problem. They will straight away, they will just move them out for some time and then they will come back again. So we have to be very careful about it. Yet, when all these things are happening with India, it always tries to approach and says that we want an easing up on the Indo-Pak border. It is only for these purposes that they can use it anytime. We must understand that when two big countries are there and there is a difference between their capacities and capabilities, this is the tool that they use to get even with us. So we have to understand what we sometimes use the term called battlefield equalizers. This is how they try to get even with us. So as far as we are concerned, the ceasefire on LC is right now holding out. However, the terror infrastructure is intact, infiltration attempts continue, and there is a drone-based attempts to smuggle weapons and narcotics into India. I also want to put a small bit of caution against about Pakistan. Despite these problems, despite the economic fragility that it is going through, its country's military modernization has just not halted. If I make this statement to you, in the last 3 years, post our attacks on Balakot and after our Uri strikes, it has only strengthened its military. It has modernized its military. Today, the kind of air defense it has built up, the kind of navy it is trying to build up, the kind of air force it is trying to build up, and some figures, if I just bring it out to you, Pakistan Navy is now in verge of inducting 20 major warships. This is to increase their navy to a 50-ship navy now. It is planning to induct 40 Chinese J-5 stealth aircrafts. We are yet to induct them. They are already into contracts with China to get it done. Their ammunition factories are selling ammunition in the Ukraine-Russian war. So what I mean to say is that we need to understand, and it takes about 18% of the budget that the Pakistan makes, it takes about 18% of its budget is used on defense. It takes about 1.7% of its GDP as defense budget. We need to understand what Pakistan is up to, and therefore this turbulent neighborhood that we have, and it is one of the main reasons for all chaos. I'm not touching much on Afghanistan. Commodore Bansal had covered it in the morning. Just will suffice to say that Taliban 2.0, as he mentioned, is in control of the country. The only difference which is there today between Taliban 1.0 and 2.0 with us is that we have kept our channels of communication open. The way he brought it out is the only silver lining here. We are trying to keep that communication open, and this is credit to this government that this communication has been kept open so that we can use it whenever for our advantage. Bangladesh is a country on boil. Since the protests of April 2024, which has been now called the movement, removed Sheikh Hasina from the government and forced her to flee to India. The nation is after that in churn and turmoil. Muhammad Yunus, Nobel laureate, who took over the head of the interim government, he fast learned that it was easy to overthrow an elected government. It is much difficult to run an government. So this is his problem. The complete law and order in the country has broken down. There has been attack on minorities and Awami League, as General Shravan Kumar brought out. Once a thriving economy with garment industry, 8.3% was their GDP. This has now collapsed. Within the interim government that he heads now, there are differences which have come in. The firebrand student leader, Nahid Aslam, who spearheaded all their movement, has now pulled out from the interim government and he has formed a party on his own. So the complexities rise here. In this environment of drift, recently their army chief, General Waqar Uzzaman, issued a strong warning to the students and politicians, stating that their actions are leading to their country to chaos and they should not force him to do what he does not want to do. Now, what does this imply? This has led to fears of a military coup, especially because after this he deployed the APCs and military jeeps which started patrolling Dhaka. The army has maintained that it will not get involved. It's my belief that Bangladesh situation also moved the way it went because of their army did not intervene to protect Sheikh Hasina. That was maybe one of the reasons. This is my belief. I am not documented with anywhere. But what we need to be worried is that Bangladesh has a history of military takeovers. The interim government has promised to hold elections by end of this year, and we hope it will do that. But this is not what the worry was. The worry was when this thing happened, the unsettling issue has been that the rise of rabid anti-India sentiment, something that which our intelligence agencies also and our embassies did not pick up. The sentiments actually now stem from the fact that Sheikh Hasina policies were projected as pro-Indian, which appeared to have sold the country. And the subsequent refuge that she has taken in India has instigated it further. However, it is deeper than that. India is held responsible for all ills in Bangladesh. That is the narrative that has been sent through, whether it is floods, drop in groundwater levels, crop failure, losses in the garment industry, and today even cricketing defeats are labeled on India. Something wrong here. So, but we also feel that Sheikh Hasina had a balanced policies, and she had kept anti-India sentiment at bay, and did not allow this radical Islamist groups like Jamaat and Islami and all to rear that head when she was in power. It was autocratic government, but then this was how it was. Now our biggest worry for us today, in this neighborhood today, is that Bangladesh should not fall in the hands of Islamists, because who could come to power in a coalition, and this would pose a very heavy security risk along the entire 4098 kilometers of the border which we have with Bangladesh. Whatever may be the outcome of the political turmoil, the current security situation impacts us in two ways. One is the China-Pakistan nexus taking advantage of the Bangladesh crisis. This will not be good for our strategic sensitivities. And the second part is our Siliguri corridor, which we need to be careful about, and the presence of Pakistan security and intelligence operatives in Bangladesh, Indian insurgent groups taking shelter in Bangladesh, and Islamic fundamental organizations. All these things will affect our internal security also. Of course, due to the geographical and structural dependence of India, Bangladesh will have to maintain close ties with us, and this needs to be leveraged to protect our strategic interests. What must we do with Bangladesh? While it is up to Bangladesh to determine its trajectory and all, but we must wait and watch. We need to have a patient view, patient approach, and this is what presently the government of India and all of us are doing. And we have to wait for the present sentiment to die down, real politics to take over, and Bangladesh will need to fall back to us for everything from electricity, river water, markets, investment, technology, infrastructure. No matter what the ranting that they are doing, this will all fall in place, and I'm sure a healthy relationship and an economic relationship is there for us to go. We need a stable Bangladesh, and we need to have patience for it. Myanmar was covered in detail. I'll quickly touch upon a couple of issues. It's on thorns of an escalating civil war. Ethnic armed groups have captured large swaths of territory as brought out by Commodore Bansal. The Tatmadaw has been facing major setbacks on the battlefields. The junta grip is totally weakening, and instability has spilled across our borders. It is affecting our security in the northeast now. And when we talk about our internal security issues, this will come into fore. The Rohingya issue is yet to be resolved, and the junta has opportunistically today aligned with the Rohingya terrorist outfits along the Bangladesh-Myanmar border and against the Arakan army. This is a matter of a small worry. China has been a long-time supporter of the junta and has remained proactive in its diplomatic engagements, whereas multiple reciprocal visits have been taken by top hierarchies. Chinese projects in Myanmar has been severely impacted, and what is most worrisome for us today is that this worrying trend may result in balkanization of this country, but for India, with a 1,600-kilometer border that we have, and there's no government to negotiate. So this must be a cause of worry for us, and it was rightly brought out by Commodore Bansal that this is a growing problem in our turbulent neighborhood, which can cause major impact on in our northeast and the insurgencies. Nepal is a nation in flux, rightly brought out by General Shravan Kumar. Political instability in Nepal, it has continued. Kathmandu has witnessed mass protests in the recent times for restoration of monarchy. The resurgence of royalist sentiment reveals deep-seated frustrations with the governance and democratic dysfunction. What we need to also understand is it is deeply intertwined with this monarchist revival is the demand to declare Nepal as a Hindu state. Now, when the Nepal, until 2006, Nepal was the only Hindu state in the country. When they adopted, they moved from monarchy to democratic power, they adopted secularism. They brought it as a key feature of the new republic. A call for restoration of country's Hindu identity is now gaining traction, which is speaks of the failure of the present democratic government that is there. So we need to understand that. Economic development has also got complicated, affected by constant change in the political governance structure. China and Pakistan continue to have large influence in Nepal. All the infrastructure projects China is trying to get into Nepal. It comes to our doorstep. China and Pakistan, and China making inroads into the critical sectors such as aviation, telecom, education, roads, hydropower. We need to understand this issue. If that is the state of Nepal, we have Maldives, again covered very well. It's strategically located in the Indian Ocean. It did recalibrate. It has now recalibrated its foreign policy. President Mizu's election came on a plank of India Out campaign. They moved out our pilots flying the ALHs and the Dornier aircraft. But Maldives' stand has now changed considerably. The Maldives government is looking to foster healthy relations and is looking for an extensive tourism campaign in effort to revive its economy. Our security also concerns, like was rightly brought out, stem from the fact that current Maldives government has got a pro-China agenda, which allows China gaining substantial and tangible benefits in varied strategic domains, with significant decisions going against Indian interests and helping China achieve its geostrategic goals in the Indian Ocean region. Turkey has also been investing heavily, and this also speaks about the military drones that they are buying from them. And it also reflects while President Mizu is looking at getting tourism from us, but he's wanting to intention to diversify his defense needs to other countries, whereas we were the main suppliers at one time. So notwithstanding the Maldives political outlook, India has emerged as its largest trading partner. We were largest in 2023, and therefore he is looking at economic terms. Maldives is looking at us on economic terms, but our interest is to get into engagement with them on military terms. But one thing good about the way we have dealt with Maldives is what I term it as strategic patience that we showed when he was immediately elected. We continued to deal with him, but with that strategic patience, at least this country is back moving towards us in many ways. Our nation to our south, Sri Lanka, strategic importance cannot be overstated. Lies located astride the world's busiest shipping lanes, key location for projecting naval power in the Indian Ocean, and it is in the maritime Silk Route. As in, China has invested heavily in Sri Lanka. It has got the Colombo port city, Hambantota port, the international airport, and development of key highways and power plants is taking place by China. Hambantota port and its lease and its issues are well aware. You all are well aware. I will not dwell on that. But in 21-22, we did have a opportunity, and which again, as a government and as a country, we handled it very well. It was faced with the worst political economic crisis with inflation which had skyrocketed. IMF had a bailout, but support from India is what pulled Sri Lanka out. Though the economy is in path of recovery now, there is a large outstanding debt of about US $4.2 billion, and China, therefore China trying to support it and try to wean away Sri Lanka from us is one thing which we must guard against. The election of President Aruna Kumar Dissanayake has marked a critical break from the earlier political oligarchies and have long dominated the country, which had long dominated the country. The new government is now looking at, they are thankful to us for the kind of support we have provided, and now it is balancing its relations with us. We have some disputes in the fishery side, in the Palk Bay and all. There are about 97 Indians who are presently imprisoned in Sri Lanka. These are things which we are working out. But leaders of both the countries are looking at developing their relationships as brought out by General Shravan Kumar. So, if I have to put my neighborhood, the tumultuous neighborhood that we have, our neighborhood has always been a diplomatic and a security challenge for us, with countries changing their political outlook and with respect to us depending on political party in power. The use of India Out campaign in neighboring countries contradicts geographical and strategic prudence, allowing greater strategic space to India to strangulate our geopolitical interest. A hostile neighborhood, in turn, has a negative impact on our internal security, is what I wanted to bring out. I was also told to cover a small amount of this thing on the internal security in our country. Well, as regards the internal security situation is concerned, I would still say J&K is under control, and the Northeast is also stable. Yes, there are issues. Violence parameters, however, indicate a declining trend, notwithstanding the Pahalgam incident. Myanmar is also showing signs of return. There are issues there, but with the president rule having been imposed, Myanmar is also in path of recovery. And we have to be worried about this internal security threats. Talking a bit about J&K, post Article 370, it has been a special status was repealed. The central government is today committed, and the Indian Army is today committed to creating a conducive environment, bringing down violence levels, and it has the government of India has directed the armed forces and CAPF to ensure zero infiltration. We are adopting modern technologies. We are using all these drones, anti-drone technologies are being brought into this place, and the Home Minister has recently said that all the best technology will be brought in to ensure that this drone menace along the borders is sorted out. The Northeast region has mostly is peaceful except Myanmar. Like I said, Myanmar is an issue where the society has got weaponized. All of you would agree that once the society is weaponized, there are chances of internal security going bad and violence levels going high is there. There is also an issue of two communities. Those things are being addressed now, and I'm sure in days to come we will find peace coming to Myanmar also. Nagaland, the NSCM, IM and Naga national political groups are consistently being engaged to arrive at an optimum solution. There are hiccups and ups and downs. It's a complex process. Nagaland was once called the mother of all insurgencies, but we are working toward that. Assam is a success story where Ulfa I is now the only active insurgent group, and hardly anything by them can be done. We have almost removed ASPA from almost all districts except 3 in Assam. Indo-Myanmar border had been covered very well, so I would not talk about that.
Thank you for watching Drone TV, your gateway to the latest in drone technology, GIS innovations, and AI-driven solutions. To partner with us or promote your company on Drone TV, visit www.dronetv.in. Contact us at +917 5201 23555.